So welcome to my top 10 things in my collection. And I've been collecting video game stuff for many years, probably around 30 years now. It's ridiculous in looking back on it all. And I've just gotten these things over time. I've shown some of them in certain episodes, and I know there's a lot of new people who are watching the channel that have never seen any of this stuff. And I got a lot of signed stuff I'm going to show, but a lot of things also that I've never shown as well. So it shall be pretty interesting. And just to get a couple of things out of the way, honorable mentions, I wanted to show one thing that I got that I thought was really great. And this was from Pete Dorr years ago. And this is just when Skyrim came out. You could order this online. It was a limited edition type of thing. It's the soundtrack, but the composer signed it. And who knew at that time that Skyrim would become such a monumental soundtrack? And Pete got this for me for free. He just sent it to me, and it's amazing. It's unbelievable that I even have this now, and it's become kind of a legendary item. I want to mention this. Another item I want to mention is a very stereotypical one. That's why I didn't want to add it to the top 10 list, and that is Earthbound. Earthbound has become this almost weird symbol that if you have this in your collection, you know, like it's showing you how much of a hardcore Earthbound fan you are. And I was just lucky to get it the day it came out back in the 90s. I was looking forward to the game and I bought it, and it's pretty used up. It's not a perfect box by any means, but it is something that is not, I don't want to show it to kind of brag it. Oh, I have Earthbound in my collection. This is for me. This is something that is, when I look at it on the shelf, it kind of gives me a lot of warm, nostalgic memories about the past, and that's why I like Earthbound in my collection. And I have a lot of other honorable mentions, but we'll get into the top 10 list right now. At number 10, this is a crazy one. And this goes for over $1,000 now. And I got it back in the day for way cheaper than that. And that is Darius Alpha on the PC Engine. This is a very rare, if not one of the rarest, PC Engine games ever to be released. And why it is so rare is that you couldn't buy it in stores. With other Darius games, they had little coupon things. You had to take them off the games and then mail it in for this particular game. And there was only around, I think, about 800 that were made at the time from the readings that I've done online. So it's a very rare game. It's one that can also go in the Super Graphics, which is really cool. So if you want a complete Super Graphics collection, if you're a complete nut job, you need to get this. No, you don't. You don't need to get this. This is a ridiculously high item. Why did I want this item? I wanted this item because I'm a huge PC Engine fan, and I wanted to show that I really love the machine and that its history and some of these rare, super rare games I really do appreciate. And this is one that I look at and I'm like, wow, it's really the accumulation of my fandom for the PC Engine. It's really something like that. Next up, these items are really great because you also, with this, you can't buy these in stores. I had a fan of the show make these for me, and I want to get his name correct. The wonderful guy who did this, Fabricio. He made these for me. Look at this. We'll look at the Ease one first. This is all wood burned. This is for Ease. This is a case that he did for me. Look at the artwork on the front there. But the most amazing thing is, you open it up, and there's even more amazing artwork in there. And yeah, he left me a really great message, and I have my gold Ease phone in here, which is not worth anything, but I had to put something in here. And look at the amount of work he put into this. This is unbelievable. What a super talent. When he sent me these years ago, and I was in absolute awe of them. And he sent me one for Dragon Quest VI as well. Look at this. Look at the back. The amount of work. Look at this. And look at the front. Isn't that great? Isn't that stupendous? And I really appreciate this. This is something that somebody spent a long time on to make for me. And it's one of those things that is so treasured for me and so one of a kind. You can't buy this, as I say, and I really appreciated him taking the time to make these for me. They're in my glass cabinet. I love them. Next up is a very stereotypical game that most people want to have in their collections. I'm showing it, and it's part of my top 10 because, first of all, I love the game. I love the artwork. I love everything about it. I love its history. And it's one of those ones that's so funny when anybody comes into the games room, they always ask me, nothing else, they always ask me to see my copy of Snatcher on the Sega CD. This game, so many people aspire to get, and I'm with them. I had to jump in at the $200 mark to get my copy back in the day, and it's upwards now. I thought $200 was a lot of money back then for a game. It certainly is. But now when you see the prices, I was like, well, geez, I jumped in at the right time. And I have so many friends of mine. I've had friends over from Europe. They're like, the first thing they say, they get in here like, where's your copy of Snatcher? And I'm like, really? Like, you really want to see that? Like, oh, yes. And they hold it, and it's a beloved game of a lot of our youths. And I think, from the golden days of Kojima and Konami, incredible stuff. And that's why this is a very treasured game for me. And I definitely want to show that. Next up is something I really still can't believe that I own, that I was sent. The younger John would have passed out. He'd had tears in his eyes. But the John of now also has a tear in his eyes for these items. I wrote to the creator of Wonder Boy. Oh my god, it must be about 6 years ago. Ryuichi Nishizawa. And I wrote to him and I said, listen, can I send some of my games to you to get them signed? And he wrote me back and said, absolutely. I was blown away. So I sent him all the games to get signed. And let me tell you, to own those is amazing. Unbelievable. But that's not what I'm going to show on my top 10 list here. What I'm going to show is two things. This is so great. He sent me a birthday card. A birthday card to me with all the signed games. He knew it was my birthday coming up, and he sent me this card. This card means so much to me. As I say, the younger guy, 14 years old, playing Wonder Boy on the Master System, would never have believed that in the future he would get a birthday card from the creator of that game. Who would have thought? It was insane. But not only that, this is so amazing. He got the artist of Wonder Boy 4 to do this Monster World, to do this drawing for me for my birthday. For my birthday. And that is just the most amazing thing that I own. I just like, oh my god, that's a birthday that is hard to top. When you get all the games signed by the Wonder Boy creator and the artist draws you a personal picture, well, I think it only goes downhill after that, and that's what it felt like to me. I was just like, that was such a highlight moment. So wondrous. Okay, moving on here. This is a great item too. We're getting into a couple of signed editions of things, but from my, I did an entire episode on this as well, on signed games, but I had to show them again, especially nowadays. It's been a while since I did that. A copy of Phantasy Star Online signed by Yuji Naka. And I think, let me check out the signature here. This is back in 2001, realistically when the game first was released on the Dreamcast. And it was a game I spent so many hours playing, 700 plus hours playing. That is a real big part of my 20s. I was spent playing Phantasy Star, and to get it signed by the creator, by the programmer of the original Phantasy Star of the 3D Dungeons, that's pretty amazing. The only thing that could top it would be my gold box Phantasy Star signed by him. But I don't know how I can ever make that happen. That seems impossible. Speaking of things that are impossible, years ago I've told this story, but I'm telling it for a whole bunch of new people who are watching. I was lucky enough to have Charles Martinet come over to my games room. He was in town for a convention. He dropped by, and I was absolutely blown away. I tried to get an interview with him, but at that time, Nintendo didn't allow him to do the interview, which is unfortunate. But I was able to say, man, that's too bad, Charles. I'm like, but can you sign all my games? And so he signed nearly every one of my Mario games for me. And he said to me, he said, you're not going to sell all of these, are you? And I'm like, no, and of course I wouldn't. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. And he still, signed my original N64 guide there. And what a time with Charles. And I have stories with Charles Martinet. Some of them I will take to my grave. He told me things and stories that were absolutely incredible. I mean, incredible. And he sat here and he drank a bunch of bottles of wine with some of my friends. I was the host, so I was just hosting. I didn't drink that night. And they all got absolutely drunk with Charles Martinet here. What an incredible memory, that's for sure. And, it's great. We're in a time now when we get Shenmue 1 and 2 coming out. A remastered port of that. And we also are getting Shenmue 3. What a time to live in as a Shenmue fan. But there was a time when it wasn't quite like that, when I thought Shenmue was gone forever. And I was lucky enough at that time to get a signed copy by Yu Suzuki. And the creator of Shenmue on the Dreamcast, a game that I absolutely adore, I absolutely love, a game that took us all by surprise, and I can't wait to re-experience later on this year, but I was so thrilled to get a signed copy of Shenmue. That's for sure. Now, let's go back to the year 2000. Me and a couple of my friends went down to Anime Expo, and we were lucky enough, very, very lucky enough, to be walking around the Disneyland Hotel, and I walked around the corner, and there were all the guests of honor. Really, like we're talking the creator of Trigun at the time, the producers of Cowboy Bebop. I mean, it was crazy. It was unbelievable. The character designer of Evangelion was there. I mean, it was wild. Where I was sitting next to this guy, and we were all smoking and all of this kinds of stuff. And I'm going to do a big documentary. I'm still going to do it on Anime Expo 2000. I have all the footage from it. But I found out that the artist sitting next to me, the Japanese artist that they flew out, was the artist of Grandia 1 on the PlayStation 1. And one of my favorite JRPGs on the PlayStation 1. I love that game. And so anyways, we all hung out that night. And then, we all broke up. I didn't see those guys again. And then I'm walking around in the Disneyland Hotel, and I see him, the artist, again. I'm like, oh my God, it's him. I grabbed his piece of paper and a pen that I had, and I ran up to him, and I'm like, I can speak Japanese, very, very small amounts, but I just ran up to him. I gave my piece of paper and pen, and I just said, Justin, please. And he's like, okay. And he was so nice, he sat down at a table that happened to be right there, and he drew out, and I got a nice frame for it now. I didn't years ago. And he drew this amazing picture of Justin, the main character from Grandia. And I still have this as one of my most treasured items. Absolutely. What a stroke of luck. And I remember my friend, his name is Aaron, but his nickname is Satan. I ran back to him, and Aaron was a big artist as well. And I said, oh my God, Aaron. And he's like, what? I said, you won't believe what I just got. And he's like, what'd you get? And I showed him the drawing, and he's like, oh my God, no. He said, where is he? And he took his art book to get him to draw a picture, and he looked for him everywhere and couldn't find him at all. And that's how lucky I was to even get that. That's an incredible drawing, and what a memory. It's funny with some of this stuff. Some of these memories will never leave me. Never leave me. I was so lucky to get them. Now, this isn't as much luck as it was quite a few years ago, going on eBay and spending a little bit of money on this. And this was worth it. It's very rare that I would do this. But for this artist, I would. And this is the incredible concept artist for Final Fantasy, Amano. This guy is a legendary guy. This is his art book here. This is his art book where, let's have a look here. Let's pull some, these are his own personal drawings. Look at his artwork here. It's wonderful, right? Why would I have gotten this? because he drew a sketch in the front of this art book. And I'm a really old school anime fan of him, even before he did all the Final Fantasy stuff. So for me, this book was completely worth it. It was like $300 to get back in the day, but I was like, you know what? I'm this big of a fan of this artist. I have to have this. And just to have an original sketch by him is amazing. That's just the most amazing thing, and treasured, absolutely treasured. I said to Kim, I said, if I ever pass away, don't just like sell everything. Make sure you check in every book and everything, because there's a lot going on here on some of this stuff. Now we get to number one. And for anybody who's been watching the channel for a long time will know my number one choice. I will not go on and on about it for anybody who's been on here for a long time. But for any new people, my most treasured item in my collection, if my games room was up in flames, I would jump in and I would save one thing. And that would be this. My original copy of Phantasy Star. I've talked about it so many times. I have. But it means so much to me. It is absolutely my number one choice of things to save. And look, it's a ratty copy. Why this is so symbolic, this is the original copy that my friends down the street got. I went over it in the summer of 1988, and I saw it, and it changed my life when I was 14 years old. And then years later, they sold it to another guy, and then I bought it from him. So it's really a childhood memory of playing this game at my friend's house. To own the original copy is owning a game changer for me. It changed my life, my perception of video games and role-playing games and animation in video games and just in art and in everything in general. I mean, it had such a huge impact on me that I'm so thankful to have the original copy from that summer, from 30 years ago now. And that's why this is so important. Everything else is very important to me. I love it. But this is the number one thing that I'd be like, my copy of Phantasy Star. As long as, if I had nothing else in the world and I only had this, I'd be a happy person, for sure. If I lost this, I'd be like, oh, damn. You know, with that kind of moment. But guys, I just wanted to share some of my top 10 things in my collection. What are some amazing things in your collections that you're proud of? You know, it may not be an expensive game or something that, you know, costs a lot of money. Maybe it's just something like Phantasy Star that just means a lot to you on an emotional level. Let me know down below. I'd really like to read some of those. Those would be really wonderful, and I think a lot of other people would be interested as well. So anyways, guys, until next time.